Hey, this is Rob.
And Lori Marie, and we are moving to Costa Rica. Yay! So I'm going to start us off. Rob's going to get into some details that'll be interesting, but I'm going to start us off and say that I have not lost any enthusiasm at all about moving to Costa Rica. I'm just as excited today as I was weeks ago when we were in Costa Rica and when we got home. So my enthusiasm grows, and my part of it that I'm doing right now is still purging, still putting things out by the street. People are still taking things, so they're not bored of our stuff, so that's encouraging. And I also want to talk about, we've been gathering information about the cost of a move, and around that I mean purchasing appliances and things like that in Costa Rica. So we haven't decided what we're going to take. We won't be taking the big appliances, that's for sure, but some of the furniture we will be taking. And it's surprising to me that the large appliances, well, even the small appliances, are pretty easy to locate and not all that expensive. I was surprised. So that was a good surprise. So we've looked at washers and dryers and refrigerators. We'll probably be taking our microwave, our coffee maker, our blender, that kind of thing, but we will need the larger appliances like the refrigerator, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's been interesting research on my part. So I'm going to hand it over to you. You may want to say something about that. You may not.
Yeah. For those of you who don't know, we're currently living in California, and we have roughly a year to a 2-year plan to move down to Costa Rica. And we're doing all we can to accelerate that plan. I'm heading back down in March to look for a location, but in the meantime, as Lauren Marie said, we're doing a lot of other research. And one of the things that I've researched quite a bit is residency permits, paperwork that we're going to need, and a lot of other official things, because they're going to need done earlier. Some of the paperwork here can take a while, and I want to go through that a little bit with you guys. But one of the other things that's important to know is some of the paperwork, the official stamped paperwork that Lauren Marie and I need to get to go to Costa Rica, has a finite deadline of 6 months. So we don't want to start this process too early, because by the time we and our lawyer in Costa Rica get everything going, we don't want anything to expire. So what I found out is there are a number of ways to get Costa Rican residency, which is what we are planning on doing. And the two most likely methods for Lauren Marie and I were the Pensionado program, which is basically having a pension, so you have guaranteed money. And the second was the Rentista program. And the Rentista program basically means you have a set amount, I think it's $60,000, deposited in a Costa Rican bank. And that's, I think, every 2 years you need to have that. And we decided to go with the Pensionado program. Lauren Marie will most likely start her Social Security payments next year. And so with those Social Security payments, that is our guaranteed $1,000 a month for life, which is what you need. You need to have either $1,000 a month in income from a pension or some source recognized, and state teachers of retirement, Social Security, etc. So having a lot of money in a 401k or an IRA does not count, because that's not a guaranteed income. You might have a lot of money in there, but again, if it's based in stock market or bonds, it could crash. So they want guaranteed money, which we're going to try to do. And then one thing I wanted to go through is some of the paperwork that you need. And some of this paperwork is going to be a little easier to obtain for you than others. But the most important thing that we learned is all of the paperwork that we have to get to Costa Rica has to have an official government stamp on it called an apostille. And the apostille has to be done by the Secretary of State of the state where the paperwork came from. So, for example, the required documents for either Pensionado program or Rentista program is a letter explaining why you are seeking residence, as well as personal details like nationality, occupation, age, and marital status. So, even if you're applying on your own, you want to have a lawyer with a template help you fill this out. So you make sure that you know exactly what Costa Rica wants. An application form available from the Costa Rican Immigration Office. Again, something you would probably want to deal with a lawyer. So the Rentista program, that's the receipt showing that you have deposited money for your application in the government account at the Banco de Costa Rica. The amount would be $50 if applying from outside the country, which
we are.
We probably will, right? And $250 if you apply while here on a tourist visa. 2 passport photos. This says bring at least 8 though, just in case. Proof of fingerprinting. And the fingerprinting that we need to get here in the United States is from the FBI. So it's not just a local police check, it's an official background check. And so if you have done any kind of federal work before, you've had this done. And we have the TSA pre-check, and so we've already been through an FBI background check. But that will be required and stamped. Proof of registration with your country's embassy in Costa Rica. Birth certificate with apostille. Now this is a little tricky because you need to get a certified birth certificate from the county and state in which you were born, if you're from the US. And then once you have that birth certificate in your hands, you need to send it to the Secretary of State of that state and get the apostille. I looked it up online, it's not complicated. Every Secretary of State has an apostille office. So basically, it's $20 a pop. So
if I can just revisit that. So I was born in Bartlesville, Oklahoma.
Right.
Okay, I have no idea the county, but I know the city.
Right.
Okay, so I'll contact them to get a birth certificate, a certified birth certificate.
Right, they do have a stamp on it.
And then they will send it to me.
Right.
And then I send it back to that county.
Well, I don't know if it's the county so much as the state, like where it's going. So you are sending it, you're getting it from your county. That's where the offices are. It's like your county seat, like where you get your marriage certificate. But after you get your birth certificate, then it has to go to the Secretary of State. Usually that's going to be in the state capital. In California, that's Sacramento. So Lori Marie and I will get a certified copy of our marriage certificate here in Solano County in Fairfield. Then we take that and send it to Sacramento to the Secretary of State.
Okay, so my birth certificate would have to go back to the Oklahoma?
Right.
Okay, so I ask for it.
Yep.
They give it to me.
Yep.
I take it back and then they get the...
Right. 2 different departments, 2 different places.
Got it.
I have to do the same thing. I was born in Florida. I have a birth certificate, but I want extra copies just in case. And so I'm going to get a hold of, I already have forms printed up, but get a hold of Jacksonville, or give them all the information. Doesn't really matter what county it's in. I've got the address off the web. And then I will get 2 certified copies of my birth certificate. Once I get those, I'm going to send them off to the Florida Secretary of State in, I'm not sure where the capital of Florida is, but I have that printed up already. It's very easy to find online. You can look up whatever state it is and apostille, or whatever state it is and Secretary of State. It was simpler than I expected. I thought this was going to be some crazy bureaucratic thing, and it's time intensive. So one of the other things that is important here, Lori Marie and I are going to get our birth certificates ahead of time because that doesn't expire. But the apostille, the official stamp, I think it's only good for 6 months from the time we get it. So we don't want to get that apostille stamp until we're pretty close to ready to apply for residency. Because if that expires, you start all over. And a lot of these things, it's a lot better to do them in the States if you can. Because there's a lot of mailing back and forth. Mail in Costa Rica can be questionable.
And you
So-
can fax here in the States if you need to, and scan things here probably a little
Right.
bit easier, so.
Faxing and scanning might not work for these because they have to be official copies with stamps from their offices. So it might involve mailing things back and forth more than once, paying every time you mail something. So your bureaucracy in Costa Rica is going to be similar to here. Might be a little slower in Costa Rica, but we will be enlisting the help of a lawyer for this process, but a lot of these things that we're doing now will make that easier on the Costa Rican side. And then real quick, couple more things. So this is what I was talking about before, the police record with apostille. If you don't have a clean criminal record, your application could be rejected. And so this is from the FBI. So the other one was proof of fingerprinting by the Ministry of Public Safety in San Jose, Costa Rica. So I don't know if we need to do that before we apply, when we apply. Some of these questions will become clear when we're actually getting ready to do it. And then the last one for our needs, because we're doing the Pensionado plan, is a certified document showing you receive at least $1,000 from Social Security or other government guaranteed pension. And now I would imagine we can get that from the Social Security office. I haven't looked up that one yet, but these are all the requirements for the Pensionado type of residency in Costa Rica. And once all of this paperwork is in, it's my understanding that we can stay in Costa Rica without a time limit. So normally there's a 90-day limit on tourism stays in Costa Rica. And so even if our residency permit has not been officially okayed, as long as this paperwork is in and we have something in our hands saying, yes, we have applied, we're good to stay there. I've heard it can take anywhere from 90 days to 1 or 2 years. And so with COVID in effect, a lot of government offices are closed and or slower or short-staffed. So again, this is going to be an exercise in patience, as a lot of bureaucracy is.
Right.
And so this is all stuff I've printed off of the internet. And when I talk with our lawyer, Andres, he might have a slightly different take on this. There might be something a little bit different, but the few things that I know we have to get are the ones that I started on, and that's birth certificates from your county of birth. And all you have to do is look up the city, and it'll tell you what office to send it to.
Okay, so was there a specific website, or you just scrolled, browsed,
No,
surfed?
that's a great question. I'll write it down for next time. There are a number of expat groups online. This came from one, ACRC, maybe, something like that.
Okay.
I found a lot of really good information. I'm sorry I didn't print this off of their website or any government website. I made my own documents here. So next time I'm going to do that because I found that information very helpful. You might too. But yeah, I got California Secretary of State, all kinds of other things here. So yeah, that's good. So next time I'll have a little bit more information on where we're getting our information. Also, one thing we really enjoyed is watching YouTube videos like we're making from people who are in this process or people who have gone through it. And very helpful.
Yeah, very, very helpful. So, good.
That sounds great.
All right, we'll see you
So-
next time, so.
Episode 3.
Adios.
Ciao.